2 months ago, on the same Saturday afternoon, two retired men walked onto the same used truck lot in the same city. Both of them were 67 years old. Both of them were on fixed incomes. Both of them needed a reliable pickup truck for their property, hauling supplies, towing a small trailer, staying independent. The first man, Bill, trusted the salesperson. He walked out with a truck that looked solid, had low miles on the sticker, and cost him $11,400. Within 5 months, he had spent $3,700 in repairs. The transmission was slipping, the turbocharger had developed an oil leak, and his mechanic told him he should budget another $2,000 before winter. The second man, Frank, had done his homework. He walked past the truck Bill bought, walked past 3 others the salesperson pushed, and drove home in a truck that cost him $9,200. 5 months later, he has spent $0 in unplanned repairs. The only money he has put into it is an oil change and a set of windshield wipers. The difference between Bill and Frank was not luck. It was not budget. It was information. Specifically, knowing which trucks have a history of draining seniors on fixed incomes dry and which ones will take care of you for years without drama. Today we are going through the trucks that would have cost Bill everything he spent and more. The specific models, the specific failure patterns, and the specific data that dealerships are betting you will never bother to look up. Stay until the last truck, because it is currently one of the most aggressively marketed pickups to seniors in America, and the 5-year ownership data is something every retired buyer deserves to see before they sign. Before we go through the trucks, here is exactly where this data comes from, because a list of trucks to avoid without sources behind it is just an opinion, and opinions do not protect your retirement savings. Data does. Source 1. NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The U.S. government's official database of owner-logged safety and reliability complaints. When enough owners report the same problem on the same vehicle, it shows up here as a documented pattern, free to access at NHTSA.gov, and something most dealers are hoping you never open. Source 2. Consumer Reports Annual Reliability Survey. Over 300,000 real vehicle owners responding every year with detailed problem reports across 17 categories, from engine and transmission to body hardware and in-car electronics. This is the same data car insurance companies use to set premiums. Source 3. RepairPal, a database of actual repair costs paid by real owners at real independent shops across the country, not manufacturer estimates, what people actually spent. We use this to calculate the true 5-year ownership cost of every truck on this list. Source 4. iSeeCars and CarGurus depreciation and market data. So we can show you not just which trucks cost more to maintain, but which ones lose value fastest, leaving you underwater if you ever need to sell. Every truck on this list failed on at least 2 of those 4 measures. Some failed all 4. Here they are. A truck earns a place on this list if it costs seniors more than it should, in any of these 5 specific ways. 1. High annual maintenance cost. Anything above $700 per year on average is a warning sign for a senior on a fixed income. Some trucks on this list average over $1,000 a year, and that is before anything actually breaks. 2. Known failure patterns in the 60,000 to 120,000 mile range. This is exactly where most seniors buy in on the used market. A truck that runs fine at 40,000 miles and falls apart at 80,000 is a trap, and it is the most common trap on used truck lots today. 3. Expensive specialist repairs. Trucks that require dealer-only diagnostic equipment, imported parts, or rare mechanical knowledge cost more to fix every single time. For a senior without a trusted specialist mechanic already in place, this is a financial ambush. 4. Rapid depreciation. A truck that loses 55 to 65% of its value in 5 years is a truck that traps you. You cannot sell it without taking a significant loss, which means you are stuck with the ongoing costs whether you want to be or not. And 5. Complexity that creates daily frustration. Multi-mode 4-wheel drive systems, electronic air suspension, advanced towing assist technology. All of it adds capability that most seniors never need, and repair costs they never budgeted for when something inevitably goes wrong. 6 trucks. Let's go through them. Truck number 1. The Ram 1500, 2013 through 2018, with the 3.6-liter Pentastar V6. And this is the truck that appears on more reliable pickup lists than almost any other, which is exactly why it needs to be addressed first. Walter bought a 2015 Ram 1500 with 58,000 miles for $14,800. Clean Carfax, 1 previous owner. It looked perfect. 7 months into ownership, the truck stalled completely while he was driving on the interstate. No warning lights, no engine noise, just a total loss of power. He barely managed to get it to the shoulder. The diagnosis at the dealer: a failed, totally integrated power module, the TIPM, which controls virtually every electrical system in the truck, including the fuel pump. The repair was $150. 6 months later, the same module failed again. Walter's total unplanned repair cost in 14 months, $2,240. He sold the truck at a $3,100 loss. Walter's experience is not an isolated incident. The TIPM, the totally integrated power module, in these Ram trucks is one of the most documented failure patterns in the 2013 to 2018 half-ton segment. NHTSA received hundreds of complaints specifically about this component causing stalling, failure to start, airbag deployment issues, and random electrical shutdowns. A class action lawsuit was filed over the issue. Chrysler extended warranties on some affected vehicles, but not all, and not all model years. For a senior driver, a truck that stalls without warning on a highway is not just a financial problem. It is a safety emergency. And a repair that requires dealer-level diagnostic equipment and proprietary modules is not something your local independent mechanic can handle cheaply or quickly. The Ram 1500 with the 5.7-liter Hemi and newer generations is a genuinely different truck, but the 2013 to 2018 V6 with the TIPM history is one to research very carefully, and in most cases, avoid. Truck number 2, the Ford F-150, 2011 through 2014, with the 3.5-liter EcoBoost twin-turbocharged engine. And I want to be very specific here, because the newer EcoBoost is a much-improved engine. This is about the first generation, and the problems that emerged as these trucks aged past 80,000 miles. Raymond was a lifelong Ford man. He bought a 2013 F-150 EcoBoost with 74,000 miles for $16,500 because the salesperson told him the EcoBoost was Ford's best engine ever. At 91,000 miles, the check engine light came on. The diagnosis: carbon buildup on the intake valves, a known issue with direct injection turbocharged engines, and early signs of timing chain stretch. The full service to address both, $2,800. His mechanic told him the turbochargers themselves, while still functional, would likely need attention within the next 30,000 miles at a cost of $1,200 to $1,800 each. Raymond sold the truck. He now drives a 2007 Toyota Tacoma with 187,000 miles that has cost him $340 in maintenance over the same period. Raymond's timing chain and carbon buildup story is a pattern across the first-generation EcoBoost community. The twin-turbo direct injection design, while genuinely impressive for fuel economy and power, introduced maintenance requirements that traditional naturally aspirated truck engines simply do not have. Carbon buildup on intake valves requires walnut blasting, a specialist procedure. Turbocharger service is expensive, and timing chain issues and high-mileage examples are both common and serious. RepairPal puts the annual maintenance cost for this engine configuration at around $788, significantly above the segment average. If you love the F-150 platform, and there are excellent reasons to, look at the 5.0-liter V8 or the newer 2018 and beyond EcoBoost, which addressed most of these first-generation issues. The 2011 to 2014 EcoBoost is one to approach with eyes wide open. Truck number 3, the Nissan Titan, first generation, 2004 through 2015. And this one is on the list for a combination of reasons that add up to the worst total financial outcome of any truck in this segment. Dennis bought a 2011 Titan with 82,000 miles for $10,200. It was $3,000 cheaper than a comparable F-150 and $4,000 less than a similar Silverado. He thought he was getting a deal. In the first 2 years he owned it, both catalytic converters failed, 1,400. A rear leaf spring cracked, 680, and a P300 misfire code led to a $900 coil and injector service. His total unplanned spend, $2,180. When he went to trade it in at 106,000 miles, the dealer offered him $4,800, less than half of what he had paid 24 months earlier. He had lost $5,400 in equity plus $2,180 in repairs in 2 years of ownership. Total cost, $8,280 on a truck he paid $10,200 for. Dennis discovered what the sticker price never shows, the true cost of the Nissan Titan over a multi-year ownership period. RepairPal puts average annual maintenance at $838, the highest of any full-size truck they track. The first-generation Titan's Endurance V8 develops reliability concerns past 100,000 miles that are well documented in owner communities. And the depreciation curve on the Titan is brutal, losing over 65% of value in 5 years, compared to the Toyota Tundra at roughly 40% and the Ford F-150 at around 45%. The Titan was never able to establish the dealer network, the parts availability, or the resale market that the domestic trucks and the Tundra enjoy. For a senior who needs a truck that holds its value and does not require specialist knowledge to maintain, the Titan's low sticker price is a trap disguised as a deal. Truck number 4. The GMC Sierra and Chevrolet Silverado, 2014 through 2018, equipped with the 5.3-liter engine and active fuel management. And I want to explain exactly what AFM is before I tell you why it is a problem, because understanding the technology is what makes the failure make sense. Active fuel management is a system that deactivates 4 of the engine's 8 cylinders when cruising at light load to improve fuel economy. In theory, it is an elegant solution. In practice, the valve lifters that carry out this cylinder deactivation have a well-documented failure pattern. The AFM lifters collapse, sending metal debris through the engine oil system, contaminating the rest of the engine, and in the worst cases, causing catastrophic and irreparable damage. Gary bought a 2016 Silverado 1500 with the 5.3-liter engine and 67,000 miles. It was the most truck he had ever owned, and he was proud of it. At 94,000 miles, he heard a ticking noise on startup that disappeared after a few minutes. His mechanic told him to monitor it. 3 weeks later, driving home from his son's house, the engine lost oil pressure and shut down. The diagnosis: collapsed AFM lifters with metal contamination throughout the engine oil system. The repair estimate: $5,400 for an engine rebuild with AFM delete. Gary did not have $5,400. His sons helped him cover the cost. He has since had the AFM system permanently disabled, a $400 modification that should have been done before purchase. The $5,400 repair was entirely preventable. Gary's story is repeated across thousands of owners of this engine in these model years. The AFM lifter failure is not a rare event. It is a documented pattern that prompted class action litigation against General Motors. The fix is well known in the mechanic community. An AFM delete kit, which costs roughly $400 to $600 installed, permanently disables the cylinder deactivation and removes the failure mechanism entirely. Here is the critical point for seniors considering one of these trucks. If you find a 2014 to 2018 Sierra or Silverado with the 5.3-liter that you love, before you buy it, find out whether the AFM has already been deleted. If it has, the risk is largely removed. If it has not, factor $400 to $600 into your offer price and have it done immediately. Do not wait for the tick. Truck number 5, the Ford F-150 2004 through 2008 with the 5.4-liter Triton 3-valve V8. And this one belongs on this list for a reason that is both specific and astonishing. A routine spark plug change can become a catastrophic repair. The 5.4-liter 3-valve Triton V8 uses 2-piece spark plugs that thread directly into the aluminum cylinder heads. As the engine heat cycles over years and mileage, specifically in the 80,000 to 130,000 mile range where most of these trucks are being sold today, the plugs seize into the head. When a mechanic attempts to remove them during a routine tune-up, the plug can break, leaving the electrode tip behind in the cylinder. Extracting a broken plug requires specialist tooling, hours of labor, and in the worst cases, the cylinder head must come off entirely. Carl brought his 2006 F-150 to a shop for a standard $120 tune-up at 112,000 miles. He had owned the truck 3 months after buying it for $8,900. The mechanic called him an hour into the job. 2 spark plugs had broken during removal. One came out with the specialist extractor kit. The other required cylinder head removal. Carl's $120 tune-up cost him $1,740. His mechanic told him it was one of the most common jobs he sees on this generation of F-150, and that he recommends all owners of this engine soak the spark plugs in penetrating oil for 15 minutes before any removal attempt. Carl said nobody had told him that when he bought the truck. Nobody ever does. Carl's experience is shared by thousands of owners of this engine. Ford eventually redesigned the spark plug for the 6.2-liter and later V8s, but the 5.4-liter 3-valve was produced in enormous numbers and remains widely available on the used market at prices that make it look like excellent value. The spark plug problem is manageable if you know about it. An experienced mechanic who regularly works on this engine will use penetrating oil and the correct extraction tools and can usually remove the plugs without incident. But the risk is real. The repair cost can be significant, and nobody at the dealership is going to volunteer this information. In addition to the spark plug issue, cam phaser rattle is common in high-mileage examples of this engine, a startup tick caused by worn cam phasers in the variable valve timing system. Repair costs range from $2,000 to $4,000. This is not an every truck problem, but it is a documented pattern at the mileage where seniors are buying these trucks right now. If a 2004 to 2008 F-150 with the 5.4 liter is on your list, have the spark plugs and cam phasers specifically inspected before you buy. The inspection itself is inexpensive. The repair, if you skip it, may not be. Truck number 6, and the one I said to stay for. The Ram 1500 Eco Diesel, 2014 through 2019. And this is the truck that is currently being marketed most aggressively to seniors who want fuel economy, long range, and towing capacity without a gasoline V8. The pitch is genuinely appealing. The data behind the 5-year ownership cost is not. Edward bought a 2016 Ram Eco Diesel with 61,000 miles for $24,500. The salesperson told him the diesel engine would last 300,000 miles. The fuel economy would save him money every month, and the towing capacity was better than anything else in its class. All of that is technically true. What the salesperson did not mention, the diesel exhaust fluid system requires a $35–45 fluid top-up every 5,000 to 8,000 miles. The EGR cooler failed at 79,000 miles at a cost of $1,800. The diesel particulate filter required regeneration service at a dealer twice in the first year, each time costing over $400. Edward's annual cost of ownership in year 1, over $3,200. He called it the most expensive truck I have ever owned, and I have had it less than 2 years. Edward discovered what diesel truck ownership in a modern emissions-compliant vehicle actually costs, and it is dramatically different from what diesel ownership meant 20 years ago. Modern diesel trucks are equipped with diesel exhaust fluid systems, exhaust gas recirculation coolers, diesel particulate filters, and selective catalytic reduction systems. Every one of these components adds maintenance cost, adds failure points, and requires specialist diagnostic equipment to service properly. RepairPal puts the annual maintenance cost for the Eco Diesel at approximately $970 per year. That is $608 more per year than a comparable Toyota Tacoma, and $582 more per year than a Honda CR-V crossover that could perform most of the same practical functions for a senior driver. Over 5 years of ownership, that gap is nearly $3,000 before accounting for the higher purchase price. The Ram Eco Diesel is an impressive engineering achievement. For a commercial operator who covers 30,000 miles per year and has access to diesel specialist mechanics, it makes sense. For a retired senior driving 8,000 to 12,000 miles per year on a fixed income without a diesel specialist nearby, the total cost of ownership is, in most cases, a serious financial miscalculation. That is why it is last on this list, not because it is the worst truck mechanically, but because it is the one being sold most enthusiastically to the exact people who will be hurt most by its true ownership costs. You now know the 6 trucks to avoid, and exactly why. Before we close out, here are 6 rules that will protect your retirement savings on any used truck purchase, whether it is one of the trucks we just discussed or something else entirely. Rule 1. Always calculate the 5-year total cost of ownership, not just the purchase price. Go to RepairPal, find the exact make, model, year, and engine, and look at the average annual maintenance cost. Multiply by 5. Add that to the purchase price. That number, not the sticker, is what the truck actually costs you. Rule 2. Search the NHTSA complaint database for the specific model, year, and engine before you buy. Go to NHTSA.gov. Type in the model. Filter by engine if possible. Look specifically at the powertrain and electrical categories. More than 200 complaints in a single category is a pattern, not an anomaly. Rule 3. Before signing, ask specifically about the failure patterns documented for that truck's engine. The ones we covered today, the Ram TIPM, the EcoBoost carbon buildup, the AFM lifter collapse, the Titan depreciation, the Triton spark plugs, the Eco Diesel emissions equipment. If the salesperson dismisses any of these or claims they have been resolved without documentation, that is information. Rule 4. Pay for an independent pre-purchase inspection. $80 to $120. A mechanic who has no financial stake in the sale will tell you the truth. They will check the specific failure points relevant to the engine. For the Silverado, they will check for AFM lifter noise. For the EcoBoost, they will check for cam phaser rattle. Ask them specifically to test for the known issues on that model. Rule 5. Match the truck to your actual usage. If you are driving 9,000 miles a year around town and occasionally hauling garden supplies, you do not need a diesel engine, a twin turbocharged V8, or an 8-speed automatic transmission with active fuel management. You need a naturally aspirated engine with a conventional drivetrain in a proven platform. Capability you will never use is complexity you are paying to maintain. And Rule 6. Look at depreciation before you look at horsepower. A truck that loses 65% of its value in 5 years costs you roughly $7,000 to $10,000 in equity loss on a $15,000 purchase, in addition to maintenance costs. A truck that holds 60% of its value in 5 years protects that equity. The difference between these two trucks could fund 2 years of retirement income. Let us bring it all back. 6 trucks that will drain a senior's retirement savings. And the specific reason each one belongs on this list. The Ram 1500 2013 to 2018 with the V6 and TIPM electrical module, a failure that causes the truck to shut down without warning at highway speed. Not a maintenance issue, a safety issue that costs over $1,000 to repair and can happen more than once. The Ford F-150 EcoBoost, first generation, 2011 to 2014, complex twin-turbo maintenance requirements, carbon buildup, timing chain issues, $788 a year to keep running, and a reputation for European-style repair costs on an American truck. The Nissan Titan, 2004 to 2015, the highest annual maintenance cost in the full-size segment, a depreciation curve that destroys equity, and a dealer and parts network that cannot compete with domestic alternatives. The Sierra and Silverado with AFM, 2014 to 2018, a cylinder deactivation system that collapses lifters, sends metal through the engine oil, and causes $3,000 to $6,000 in damage, with a $400 preventive fix that nobody tells you about before purchase. The Ford F-150 Triton 5.4, 2004 to 2008. A routine tune-up that becomes a $1,900 repair because spark plugs seize into aluminum cylinder heads at exactly the mileage where seniors are buying these trucks today. And the Ram Eco Diesel, 2014 to 2019, the truck being sold most aggressively to retired buyers right now, at $970 a year in average maintenance costs, with emissions equipment that requires constant specialist attention and a total 5-year ownership cost that most buyers never calculate before they sign. Which one surprised you most? Or is there a specific truck you are currently considering that you want us to research? Drop it in the comments. We read every single one. And if your truck story could protect another senior from a mistake, share it. That comment might become our next video. And if you want to know which used pickup trucks under $10,000 we would actually recommend for seniors, the ones with the lowest maintenance costs, the highest reliability scores, and the longest documented lifespans, that video is linked right here. Everything backed by the same data. Everything honest. Bill and Frank walked onto the same lot on the same afternoon. The difference between them was information. Now you have it too. See you in the next one.